We live in a time where masculinity is shamed and men don't know what it means to be a man. As a pastor and counselor, I've spent the better part of my life equipping and training others. My goal with this show is to translate my hard-earned experience into tools and tactics to help you become stronger as a man. This is the BraveCo podcast. I'm your host, Jason Bellet. Hey, BraveCo men, welcome back to the BraveCo podcast. This week, I have a great friend on here. It's Josh Baldwin. For those of you who don't know Josh, you probably aren't a Christian and don't worship at church. And you got to get your act together, right? Like, what have you been doing with your life? No, Josh is a singer-songwriter. He's been with Bethel Music for quite a while now, and he's wrote some tremendous songs. And just an incredible man, incredible songwriter, and great voice. So that deep, Southern.
Wow.
Yeah, Southern voice it's really what all the ladies show up for. So, man, thanks so much for coming on today.
It's just so good to be here. It's so good to be hanging here on BraveCo podcast. I've been listening. I've been listening up, preparing my heart. I mean, I was listening before I knew I was coming on, but then
you don't get.
Then I dove in. But this is a treat, and this is fun just because we haven't hung and talked in a while. So
it has been a while, which probably means your life is going well.
That's true. That's so funny because the other night and I'm wearing his shirt. I was with John Mark.
Oh yeah.
And he came into town. I live in Nashville now, and I know you know that. I was saying cool. That for our listeners.
That's
great. But John Mark was in town, and I had just listened to your episode with him, and he was pumped. He's like, dude, yeah, it was so great. You're gonna love it. And I was like, I know it. I'm pumped to see and talk to Jason, but I haven't talked to him in a while. And usually when I talk to him, I'm just, it's me and Sheila. We're sharing our life and help us, Jason, help us. And so it'd be good just to talk and just hang and not try to bring all my problems to him.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, it's awesome. It's so fun just to be on here with you. And I mean, it's even funner when Sheila's here, because then I hear the real story. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
like what really happens in your life.
Here's what's really going on.
Yeah, no, it's cool, man. So thanks so much for jumping in. And I think right away, I just want to jump in a little bit in, everyone sees you today as this successful musician and worship artist, which, by the way, is not an easy thing to do. That's a friggin' hard thing to do, because, I mean, there's worship leaders in guitar players are a dime a dozen, songwriters are a dime a dozen now, and with ChatGPT, it's probably even more.
Our days are numbered,
bro. Yeah, and AI, huh? You don't even have to play the guitar now. I think the ChatGPT will play the guitar and sing and write the song for you. So yeah, maybe we'll talk about that in a little bit. But dude, I just want to go back just for a little bit and catch people up on, did you grow up in the church? Yeah. What was life like for you growing up? Yeah. Where did you grow up?
Yeah, I grew up in North Carolina in a little town outside of Charlotte that's kind of famous for being known as the hometown of Kelly Pickler. That's what we're
dude, who is Kelly Pickler?
Yeah, right. She's a country artist.
Oh.
She's like a country. She was on American Idol, and she's like a country artist who now is more of like a reality, kind of celebrity person. Yeah. Anyway, that's where I'm from. This little town, and I'm a pastor's kid, so I grew up in church. I was born on a Sunday and in church on the next Sunday, and literally, and I grew up in that, and my dad's he's a pastor, but he was also very much in worship and music and led worship at our churches and wrote songs. And so I grew up in that. And and just all, I started playing drums with him and in our church when I was like 12.
Yeah, you did.
And yeah,
Those are the days when the whole entire family does something in the church, right? When your dad's the pastor, you're part of the crew.
You're there. I mean, we were there every day of the week, it feels like. And then, it's Wednesday night youth group.
Yeah.
Sunday morning. That was back when we had Sunday night service too.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was my life, and I loved it. And drums was kind of like also like a way for him to babysit me. He would take me to church with him, and it was just, I would run off and go get on the drums, and he wouldn't have to worry about me for hours.
That's amazing.
And, yeah, but I grew up there, and just I was also big into sports. I mean, that's like probably my first love is sports.
Can I just say this? Music. What people don't know about you is that you are a sports freak.
Yes.
Right? Like you're the guy that all the stats. Like you were telling me earlier that you have, I mean, you had a sports podcast, but people don't want to listen to musicians talk about sports.
I did. It went for 2 years. My buddy Mac Brock, a worship leader friend of mine, and we realized we were talking so much sports in our group chats, and that we were just like, let's just start one. And so we did it. It was fun. We had some good guests on, all the other Christian artists and songwriters who don't get to like share their love for sports anywhere else, so they would come talk on ours.
That's cool.
It was awesome. But anyway, yeah, no, not many people listen. You're very, very specific audience.
You're one of the most unassuming sports guys, I would say, because like
really,
yeah, for sure. There's just something about, okay, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but I think when you see a worship leader up there leading worship, in singing songs, and they're kind of trendy, and then you see them on the basketball court and they're tearing it up, you're like, those two worlds aren't really, you don't typically think of them going together.
Right.
But you get after it on the court.
I get after it. Basketball is my first love. Yeah. I love it. And it's funny because being out there at Bethel, I don't think many people don't realize that that's the sanctuary there is a basketball court.
Yeah.
And so there was so many times being out there where we would play on Monday nights, and I'm totally just segueing from just my growing up.
No, it doesn't even matter. This is part of it.
Okay. This is what I do. I turn every conversation into sports. This is quicker than normal, so I'm getting better and better. But I remember we would play on Monday nights, and there was a few times. One time in particular, I remember there was a new guy playing, and I get competitive, and just that's like the one time in my life where I get like loud and talk a lot of junk, or just I'm very confident in my level of playing sports, more so than anything else I do. And I think I was mouthing off and talking to a guy and just, hitting a shot in his face. And anyway, he started snapping back, and we kind of went at it, just verbally, nothing physical. But then later on, I'm like, I'm sorry, we made up. And then he was like, I was at church last night, Sunday night. I had led worship the night before, Sunday night at church, in that very room. And he was like, yeah, man, love your song. And I was like, I'm so sorry.
Dude,
anyway, it was,
that is a real problem. I think that, that I have as well, is the competitiveness. So, it's hard because you're trying to you're not trying to separate the worlds. You're trying to I mean, how do you play sports and not be super competitive?
Right.
And then once in a while, you just get tipped right over that edge. And then you're the guy that you don't want to be for like 8 minutes. And you forget that you're also, like you prayed for that guy the night before.
Right. It's so, and
now you're tearing him down. Now you're like tearing him down.
Totally. Oh, that's so true. And it was never more, just right in my face than it was on those nights when we would be playing.
Yeah, dude.
In the very sanctuary that I led worship.
Well, that's a horrible sanctuary to play in too, because so many ACLs and ankles have been broken on that carpet. I don't know if
that carpet.
Yeah, if you've never played on carpet before, it's crazy because at first you think it's awesome because you're like, oh man, it's a little bit soft. But what happens is there's so much grip and no give on carpet. And so, yeah, my dad broke his ACL, or Achilles, like the tendon, like literally snap. Yeah. On the carpet. Yeah. And anyways, so I'm at the age, listen, I am at the age where, dude, I won't even play in there anymore.
Yeah.
At 43, I'm just like, nah, it's not worth it.
Yeah. I haven't played since we moved, really.
Wow.
I'm kind of all golf now. So.
Oh. Yeah. How do you feel about that? We're going to get back to your past, but we're here now. So let's just do it.
I mean, I miss basketball here and there. And when I see guys playing, I want to play, but
are you good at golf?
I'm all right. I'm like a 10 handicap. I don't know if I shoot in the 80s,
I don't even know it.
Yeah. I didn't know
I'm good at best ball.
Yeah. Scramble best ball.
Cause then I'm always in the game.
That's fun. That's great.
Yeah.
But
dude.
I'm kind of a dork about it. That's all I watch is like YouTube golf.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So I think, which brings us to this other conversation, like certain people are always good at something, and it's the obsessive people, because what a lot of people don't understand is in order to get really good at something, you have to be really obsessive and a bit competitive. And if you have that obsessive nature, like you certainly do, then it'd be like you get good fast because it becomes all that you do. It's really hard on the marriage.
Yeah.
It can be hard on the marriage.
It's real. Yes.
But yeah, so you're obsessing about golf, and it's the YouTube. It's on every channel, and
yeah,
that's cool.
I've learned to also I take the clubs with me a lot when I travel.
Oh, that's cool.
And I'll play on tour, and I'll do that because I'm already gone.
You might as well.
It's just like guilt-free golf, and that way when I'm home, I'm a little more present. I don't play as much.
Oh, that's smart.
So
golf is awesome. I'll probably get into it as I get older because you can play it forever, right?
Yeah,
and everywhere you go, there's a golf course and yada, yada, yada. So, all right, dude, bring us back. So you grew up in Christian home, dad was a pastor, and you were super into sports. Like, take us from there.
Yeah. High school and that part of my life was, it was like the best of times and the worst of times in a lot of ways, which it probably is like that forever for a lot of people. But, I loved my church. I loved my youth group. My youth pastor was amazing. All my best friends were in our youth group, and we just really going after the Lord, and it was a combo of like, it was fun.
Yeah.
Like a teenager, like you would want it to be, but also there were moments with the Lord that were just like deep and marking for the rest of my life kind of moments. And in the middle of all that, I'm playing drums. I'm also I remember my youth pastor, he said, we need a worship leader in our youth group, because we were just playing CDs. And
when's a worship?
He was like, right. No, totally. We were just playing, I think we were playing like the Petra Praise album.
Yes, dude.
Take the cold, cleanse my lips, that kind of thing. And so he was like, your dad does worship, you play drums, you should do worship. You should just do it. Because he knew I sang a little bit too. And so he's the one that actually showed me like a few chords on the guitar.
Wow. And
he didn't even play guitar well. But I think my dad was always like, he didn't want to push anything on me too much just because he did it. He didn't want to and so, so I remember I started playing the guitar just because of we need a worship leader in our youth group. And that's when, that fire started to just be lit in me, and just, I love this. I do have this, I am good at that. I do have a natural ability to, and some of it was, because who I am, who my dad is, but also I've been worshiping already with my dad a lot, and through the drums and just all that. And so the whole time that was being lit in me. But then on the other side, I was also going in my home. My mom and my dad were going through separation and then eventual divorce.
Wow.
16, 17 years old. And my dad was a pastor of our church. I mean, it was a mess.
Bro, did he stay the pastor of your church?
He did for, during the separation he did, because it was just like, we don't want this to happen. We don't know what's going on. And I don't even remember a lot of that. I mean, I was 15. I remember it, but I don't, all the details of like, I just remember my dad's still the pastor. And, but then right after the divorce, we were Assemblies of God. And, so he had to step down. He was forced down, which was great and good.
Was your mom the one, and you don't have to, like, we don't have to go way into this, but was it like a mutual separation, or were your parents, was your mom like, I'm out, I hate your worship songs?
It was mutual. It was mutual. It was, years of fighting and, just not seeing eye to eye with stuff. And I mean, in a lot of ways that season of my life was pretty horrible and tough, because this is just a small town and we're the biggest church in this little town. So it was like the big scandal of our little town.
Yeah.
And I remember that part of it was really rough for me, but then also kind of immediately after they were separated and just weren't in the same home together, my home life was like so much better for, just because there wasn't fighting in the home.
Wow.
And so it was weird and felt obviously like depressing and sad, just on a different level now because my parents aren't together. But there was no fighting that I was coming home to all the time and waking up to in the middle of the night. And so I remember that being like a relief. And, but yeah, so that was such a weird season of like, I when I look back at it, I feel so thankful that I did have this youth group and these group of friends that were going after the Lord, and then I felt so close to, and they came in and they kept our friendship, like kept me, I think, from going in a direction that I could have gone in that season.
Did you have to decide like who you're going to live with?
I don't remember that being, I was blessed in that when they finally like divorced, I was the end of my senior year in high school.
Yeah.
So
you're old.
I stayed, my dad, I was older. My dad stayed in our house and my mom moved out. And, I just, it was just you should stay in your house because this is your home. And then I went to college like that next year. And honestly, I didn't even know if I wanted to go to college. I didn't even know what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to get out of that town. And so I just pieced out and went to Lee University in Tennessee with my buddies from my youth group.
Yeah.
And I didn't know, I mean, they all knew what they wanted to do with their lives and they had their majors, and I didn't know. And I just went to get out of there. And honestly, it was great because I got to, kind of just get away from the mess. It was harder on my sister. My sister's 3 years younger than me.
Oh,
Her high school years were a lot tougher than mine because she had to, just deal with the early first years of having parents that were divorced and just how to navigate that. And, but yeah, I went to college and, man, I started to lead worship more and more when I was in college at Lee, but I also just hated school. I hated, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I think I want to be in ministry. That's kind of all I know. I love my youth pastor. I love my youth group. I think I should just be a youth pastor, like I just, it's like, I think I'll do this. So I majored in like Christian education and I was like, I'll just be a youth pastor. And, but you know what? I was a good kid. Like I wasn't a bad kid. I didn't do like drugs or anything. I went to church and I honestly, I would skip class because I would be playing basketball or playing guitar. I would be, I'd be doing either music or guitar or sports, basketball and just not go to class. Yeah. I hated school. I hated class. And so my grades were horrible. And then I was there for 2 years, and after 2 years, I didn't go back. I stayed home. I was like, this is not for me. College is not for me.
It's why I didn't start college.
It's
wasn't going to make it.
I think I felt bad because my parents spent so much money for me to just figure out that college was not for me. So, but because I joke about this with my dad now, is that I went to college and actually found out what I wanted to do with my life. It just didn't involve being, I was like, I led worship a lot. I realized there that I actually want to do music. I want to be a worship leader.
That's cool.
He's like, I wish you could have figured that out for free. But I came home from school, didn't go back, and this is like this is 2000, the year 2000, and I went and worked at a mobile home factory in my hometown. I had to do, the come back home, the walk of shame, kind of come home. He dropped out of school. He didn't know what he's doing. I got a house with a buddy of mine who actually finished school and had a real job. We lived together, and I just worked at a mobile home factory for like a year and a half, laying tile, and just it was like a dark season, but also a season where the Lord was doing a lot in me and like showing me like down the road what was coming and preparing my heart and teaching me how to work and just how to have a better work ethic and just
bro, I'm so glad that I'm so glad you had those mobile home days, because I think a lot of worship leaders missed out on that, on the hard work grind, right?
Yeah.
And it's pretty tempting to just want to sing songs and perform and do all that stuff and not really know what it takes to whatever, work hard. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great that you did that.
No, I think about that a lot. And because later, 10 years later, when I was in Charlotte, the whole like big mega churches paying musicians to play and paying worship, all that started to be more of a thing. And people that were my age when I worked in the mobile home factory, they were doing what I was doing there, but they were like playing music, and it just kind of like, some of it was great, but a lot of them just, when you start right there and it's just, it's not always awesome for the heart.
It's tough.
And so I'm thankful for those years where I was like, this is not who I'm called to be. I'm not supposed to be doing this. And I would just do it and wake up and just bust my butt. And that's when I was working at that mobile home factory, that's when I found out about this ministry in Charlotte, MorningStar, that I was like, I think I'm supposed to go here to their ministry school. And so I went there. Then I saved up and I went there to Charlotte the next year. And that's when I, met Don Potter and Susie Uri, and just they took me under their wing, and I started writing songs and just learning more about that. And I met John Mark and Jonathan and Melissa there, the Helsers. And
bro, it's such
that was such
an epic like season in, I would say, in the church, and not that MorningStar's whatever, not the same, but for me, those early 2000s when Dawn and Cindy were just, gosh, there's so much richness in the music and the ministry and what was happening. That's cool, man, that you were part of that. I forgot.
Yeah. It felt, it felt so special to be a part of. And it felt like we were doing something that was fresh. And, I think even just the songs and the worship, that it was like, all from there. We didn't do outside music and songs. I mean, we actually, dude, the whole reason people ask me like, dude, how did you get started writing songs? Here's the story about how I got started.
Yeah, tell us.
I went to MorningStar. I was a first year student, and we do chapels every morning, and we do worship, and the student led worship, and then we do the whole teaching day. And you can only lead worship if you're singing your own song. Like they won't let you lead like a Chris Tomlin song or not that they don't like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't like we don't want that, but it was
just a stretching thing.
Stretching. This is all about, creativity and moving in things that you wouldn't maybe move in if you weren't forced and pushed out, which is totally me. I will sit back and just relax and live a comfy life unless I'm pushed out into the flames, which is why being married to Sheila is such a gift from the Lord, because she will not live a comfortable life.
No.
She's the reason behind most of our moves and steps up.
Sheila, you're a beast.
Steps in faith. Yeah, she's amazing. But I remember coming into that, I'm like, well, I know I'm a worship leader. This is who I'm called to be, and I'm supposed to lead, but I've never even tried to write a song. I didn't even think about it. And it's funny because my dad would write songs and we would lead his songs at our church. But I don't know. I just, up at that point, I'd never even thought about, hey, you should try to write a song. It didn't cross my mind. And I remember thinking, well, I'm supposed to lead, so I guess I better write a song. So I wrote a song just to get up on stage and lead worship, because I just knew that I'm supposed to be a worship leader. And so thankfully it was good enough for them to let me do it. But that's how I got started. But what happened was it just lit a fire in me that, oh, this is actually part of who I'm called to be. I'm not just, I don't just get up and lead worship and sing. I'm actually called to write songs that help people find the Lord. And so that, and I wouldn't suggest write songs so you can get on stage. But
that's a really horrible way to start.
Yeah, that's not a great way. But in my head, it wasn't that. It was just that it was more like, oh, this is who I'm called to be. So I guess this is another thing that I need to jump out and do. And I probably wouldn't have done it had it not been for a school like that and a place like that just pushes people out.
Now, honestly, I really do feel like it's one of the best ways to learn, right? Because you're in front of people who are really great at what they do, and they do it in such a pure way that you have the pressure of you really do have the pressure of showing up and putting your best effort in, and you're in a community of where when people do stuff excellent, it's like everyone in the community rises to that level. I know that's a lot of what I felt when I started preaching at Bethel. Yeah. And you don't really think about it if you're not from there. It's really intimidating when I was 24, I started preaching, and you're standing at the pulpit that Bill preaches at, and my dad and Danny, and you're just like, dang, man. And trying to prepare a message when my dad's going to be on the front row. I don't have anything to say at 24, It's so intimidating. But because there's an excellence on the house, you also don't skimp, right? You don't just totally. I'll wing it. I'll get up right before it. It really helped for me to take that part of my life seriously. And then you get to watch other people do it who are really good at their craft. Right. And so I really do. I think how you learned is one of the best ways, right? You have fathers and mothers who are real fathers and mothers who really don't care how well you do. They just want you to try. But it's an environment of excellence.
I think that's the thing. That's so good, because that is the thing. It doesn't matter as necessarily how good it is. They just want to see you step out and go for it. And because they saw that on me. They saw all of us. John, Mark, Johnny. They see the potential. They see the Lord in us, and they just want you to step out. And I remember, they were so great at just pushing people forward. Like Susie, especially. Susie's just like, no, you. And I mean, it was intimidating because I played drums with her a lot, and her songs were amazing. She was just an amazing worship leader, and Don is amazing. And then not only that, then my friends, my peers are like John Mark McMillan and Johnny, and I mean that was around when John Mark wrote How He Loved some of those years, and but it was it wasn't this competitive thing. It was this whole we're all together. Everyone was so excited about other people's songs, and there was a little 5 or 6 years of that time in my life when I don't think I even knew what was going on in the music scene in normal Christian music or worship world or any. There's this little span that I didn't even listen to anything else except for the music that my friends were writing at our little church there, and and it was so special, and and it's so right here with me too now. Just 'cause even the other day when I was hanging out with John Mark, we were talking about some of those days.
Do you miss that?
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? I do in a way. I think moving to Nashville felt it because, gosh, fast forward now years later, I I got a glimpse of that coming back to when we moved out to Reading first. There was this community and it was a community of songwriters that were writing together, and Charlotte was like everyone do it yourself. Go, lock yourself in your room, write your songs, and then bring them to each other, and we would play them for each other and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But nobody really collab.
Yeah.
There wasn't much of a co-writing kind of thing. And then when I came out to Reading, to Bethel, it was a whole other level of like, we're all in this in a different way. Like, let's actually work together to create. And it opened up even more levels. And even like, it just kind of like unlocked wells inside of me that were just, that I didn't even realize were there. I'm like, oh, this is possible. And so I think, and so that was like a little glimpse of that too. And then I think even when I moved here to Nashville, I was always told, or just kind of maybe thought, that like, it's just Nashville, and this area is like, it's cutthroat, and it's, eat or be eaten, and just, competitive. And there is some of that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's there anyway. And, I feel like anywhere you'd go and are in creative endeavors, that's there. But I came here, and it's so much of a, it feels like the co-writing thing together, writing, but also like the sharing. We want to hear what you have. Oh, wow. Just the encouragement level was like to the roof when I came here. And, so yeah, I felt like Nashville kind of combined my Charlotte and Reading experience.
That's awesome.
And, I put them, which is, yeah, it's been great. But, yeah, I mean, because my year, I feel like it took me like 20 some years to be like an overnight success in some ways.
Bro, I was going to ask you, like, when do you feel like you got to the point where you went, wow, I made it. Like I'm living the dream.
Yeah. I feel like I've gotten to that point like 2 or 3 times in my life. I feel like, I mean, I've some of those years at MorningStar when I was just a student or just working, I was working in the warehouse at MorningStar Publications, shipping out Rick Joyner's books every day.
So cool.
And I felt like that was the dream. That was like, I get to do this for a living.
Wow.
This is what I'm doing. I'm doing this, but then I'm writing songs and leading worship, and I'm traveling and playing drums. And then, all I wanted in life was I wanted to just be a worship pastor at a church, and that to be my job, like that to be the way that I supported my family. And that didn't happen until I was 32. And me and Sheila and I had been married a year. Ellie, our firstborn, she was born on our 1-year wedding anniversary.
Wow. You guys really planned that out.
Yeah, we planned our lives so well. We did that well. Then when she was 6 months old, we got pregnant again with Bear. So, and then a year later, we moved across the country to California.
It's crazy.
But yeah. So it was, and that was I was 31 or 32. Just barely making it in our little house in Charlotte. And we helped start a church in Charlotte called Queen City Church with John Mark and his dad, Robin. And they decided to bring me on like full time, and this is a news church. It was like, we had 150 people. I'm like the worship leader. I say that in quotations, but I'm also doing I'm the janitor. I'm everything. I'm the men's meeting guy. I'm all of it. And it was like, that was 5 years we were there for 5 years.
Wow.
And but that was like, I remember it's funny. I actually was playing golf with a buddy of mine the day that Robin called me to tell me, we want to bring you on full time. And I just thought, okay, this is it. Like I did it. Like, this is what I wanted to do. I just wanted to be a worship leader full time, and I am. And so that was a time when I felt like, yeah, okay, all my dreams came true. And then, I think the rest of it's just kind of been like, wow, I didn't really dream big enough.
Yeah.
Like these little things that have happened. It's definitely dreams come true, but I didn't really dream that up.
Yeah. I like that.
I'd love to say that, this was a dream. It was a dream when I came out to Bethel Music and was a part of that, but I didn't think that'd be, I didn't even think about something like that.
Yeah. Which would be really,
think about being on the radio.
Yeah. It'd be really hard to picture all that stuff happening. I'd love to know, like, what do you feel like at this point has been like the biggest high in your career where you're like, man, this song that I wrote, or this tour I went on, like when you look at your career right now, where are you like, this has gone beyond?
Yeah. I think having a couple songs that did really well, like on radio and touched people, that's been amazing. And that's something I didn't, like I said earlier, didn't dream of.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like a high, obviously a high, but like, because of that, there's like little moments that are just like, when I think of, I'm like, oh my goodness. And one of them was a couple years ago. And this is like a moment that's just like so precious to me that I'm just like, wow, okay, done. I was in a songwriters round with Michael W. Smith, and my heroes were Stephen Curtis Chapman. Yep. Stephen Curtis Chapman was like the reason I wanted to play acoustic guitar and write songs. Initially it was just like, this is who I want to be. And then it was Michael W. Smith, and these are like the 80s and 90s worst, Christian music guys. So I was in a writer's round with him, and last minute I decided to share a song that, writer's rounds, it's like you share 3 songs, you talk about them, kind of go in order, and I'm sharing, I play like my 2 songs that they would all know that are on the radio, Stand in Your Love and Evidence, and talk about them. And then you usually share like a new song. And I was going to go this one way with the next song that's supposed to come out, and all this. And then last minute I was like, no, I want to share this song. It's called Full Grown Man. And it's essentially about the Lord, about Jesus being an old soul.
Oh,
it's about him. Very BraveCo song.
Yeah.
Actually. I need to send it to you.
Yeah,
it's
dude.
Not out.
Send it to me.
Never been recorded. But I was talking with my buddy about his son being an old. I was like, man, his boy at that time was 11, and I was like, man, he's just like one of those kids. It's like he's 11, but he's really like you think he's like 50 or 60. He's like, this kid's like it's like an old man in there. And so I remember telling him, like, man, your son is just like a full grown man at a really young age.
Wow.
And he was like, dude, you should write a country song that talks about that. And I was like, yeah, I should. And then so I sat down, I started trying to write this song about an old man at a real young age. And I just started thinking about the Lord, which I tend to do. I like try to, I'll start songs and think they're going one way. Like I'll try to write a song for Sheila, and then it always turns into like a worship song somehow, draw me close to you. No, I didn't write that. And so that was what I did with this. I tried to write it about like some country song, and ended up being like, no, actually, who was probably the oldest soul ever?
Yeah.
Jesus, like, 12 years old in the synagogue teaching
right.
That's a full grown man at a real young age. And so this whole song is just about that. And it's very singer, songwriter, storyteller. And it felt so fresh to me. And so I just played it. And this was like live on XM radio.
Wow.
Me and Micah W. Smith and somebody, and Terrian, another artist. And I played that song. It was the first time I'd ever played it. And at the end of that song, Micah W. Smith looked over to me on the air, and he was like, wow, that's the first song like that I've ever heard in my life.
Wow.
And just so kind. And I just went home and I told Sheila, okay, if this is the last day that I ever play music,
you did it.
I'm fine. I did it,
bro. And, so why have you never recorded that song?
I've been trying.
You have?
I think every time it feels so special to me that, and there's a handful of songs that are kind of a lot like it and in that vein, that I think it's a whole project. At first I thought I want to release this single, but I think it's a full grown man project.
Wow.
And so I have it. I'm sitting on it. I've got like 8 or 9 songs that are, and I think it was going to be the next thing. And then, we recorded a live album, a couple months ago that comes out in March. So that's the next thing. I have a live album, but then after that,
full grown man.
I'm really full grown man.
You should play it live for us. I mean, I'd have you play it live now, but you haven't released it.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was going to say if I had a guitar, but you can obviously see all those guitars right there.
Dude, play it for us.
I'll play that. Let me pull this.
Play me something of it. This would be the first time that anyone's played something. Yeah, played something live with us. For those of you that can't see him because you're listening, he's going to get a guitar right now. Listen, never been recorded. This is it right here. We're getting fresh stuff.
All right. I don't even know how in tune this guitar.
Bro, this is exciting. You're Josh Baldwin. You make an out of tune guitar sound in tune.
All right. Came into this world as a wanted man. The tales of his coming running through the land. Being born like that, the highest stakes, makes you a full-grown man at a very young age. 12 years later, running down the halls, he was educating leaders about his kingdom come. Had his mama worried for 3 whole days. But he was a full-grown man at a very young age.
Dang, bro.
He was a full-grown man at a very young age.
Bro, that is fire.
I got to sing you the second verse.
Yes.
Now that I'm here.
Yeah, do it.
Is that okay?
Yeah, sing it.
I can't do it.
No, we got time.
The chorus goes, Son of God, Son of Man, walk the earth to heal this land, lived and died, rose to save a full-grown man at a very young age. And then the second verse goes, it's my favorite. Yeah, he opened up their eyes for the very first time. He saved the best for last, turning water into wine. And it all started there on that wedding day, with a full-grown man at a very young age. And he placed my soul in eternity when he carried my cross down a city street. At 33, he gave his life away as a full-grown man at a very young age. He died a full-grown man at a very young age.
Bro, it's so good.
Thank you.
Oh, man. That was awesome. What a treat, dude.
Oh, that song just makes me want to keep writing.
Makes me want to keep listening, man. Like, I feel like I'm on a back road, you know, just like, just cruising windows down. That's awesome. What's your favorite song that you've written?
Wow. I feel like the newest one usually.
Yeah.
The most recent one,
yeah.
No matter what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, gosh, you know what? I should have an answer to this a lot quicker than I do now. I just, cause I get asked it a lot. I think a song that I'll never get tired of singing is You Deserve It All, worship song that I wrote. And then Evidence.
Yeah.
Those are two songs that I just don't think I'll ever get tired of singing those. I've got plenty of songs that I've sang a lot that I'm like, I'm good if I don't sing that one for a while, but those are two that I'm always in the middle of them. I'm like, oh yeah. Because I just remember, I mean, what they say, but then I just remember writing. I remember the times writing them and how special.
What it came out of.
Yeah. I think, and I feel, and some of that's, that's stuff that's something that I can feel, I'm the only one that knows that in me. So that feels, it just feels really special and just like my own little time with the Lord that I can go back and it's such I mean, even just thinking about songs, it's just thinking of that one, like, it feels like such a gift from the Lord to do that because each one of them is like a little stamp of a time that I had with him. And, I feel so grateful to have those moments and grateful to have them be recorded. A lot of them, that they're also going to be there forever.
Yeah.
And,
it's such a gift.
I can go back and listen. Yeah. Let's go back and listen to them and just think, oh man, I remember what I was going through when I wrote that.
Music is crazy. It's such a gift. I never played the guitar growing up or anything like that. And like probably three months before my divorce, my marriage was really tough and I was trying to fix it. I didn't know it was wrong. I just knew that this is my first wife. We were growing apart. Right. And, because she was saying stuff like, I've never loved you. I just want to be best friends and raise kids, like really confusing, hard stuff. And so I just thought like, man, I need to win my wife's heart back. Right. Like I need to figure out a way to like ignite this spark in us. And so I started playing the guitar. I picked up the guitar and I was like learning it in secret so that I could like play her, like I was going to play her Coldplay, I think it's called Green Eyes. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I'd always sang, like, I like singing and I can carry a tune. Okay. But so I learned the guitar, right? For like 3 months, I really worked on it. And then she left and the guitar became my way of processing like my wife leaving and my divorce and like all the stuff that happened. And it was so crazy what a gift that was because dude, I would sit for like 4 hours at a time and just play and like cry and write these crazy songs, right? Like I'm literally writing stuff that I don't know, it's just like this really, really hard stuff, but that became my lifeline. Like each one was like this gift, And it's funny because I played for like 2 years and then I haven't revisited it. And I went back the other day and started goofing around on the guitar. And it's crazy because like I in that season too, like I wrote quite a bit. Like I wrote with Brian and Jen for a while and I wrote with Skylar and Kim for a little bit. And I just fell in love with writing. And but I went back and like I couldn't even play one of those old songs again because it was like such a devastating time of my life that I was like, wow. Do you know what I mean? Like it was crazy how much is still locked up inside of like how much emotion is locked up inside of that time period from, it's wild.
Songs I mean, they just bring, there's just a song can unlock where you were when you wrote it, but where you were when you first heard it. There's albums that Sheila never wants to hear again because she was listening to them during pregnancy and just.
Bro, for me, it's David Gray. Is that his name?
Oh man. Oh, I love him.
Bro, I can't do it because that was all during that time. For reals. Like as soon as it comes on, I'm like, next. That was a season. Like that's a season I barely made it out of that hellhole, you know? David Gray, you're my hellhole.
Yeah.
No, his music's incredible, but I just can't do it.
Yeah. It's on the other end. It's such a gift to have those songs. Well, I just recorded an album in September and it's coming out next year. But
wow,
we just got the finals and the masters for it yesterday.
Wow.
And so we were in the truck listening to me and Sheila, and she was having she was having a rough day anxiety wise, and just getting hit hard. And she was like, put your album on, put that song on. You know, I wrote a song. There's a couple songs on there that were written like kind of for her about, you know, like My Help. That's one of them. I know where my help comes from. It comes from, and she's like, just put that on. I want to hear the, you know, and then and there was another song, Prince of Peace, that I literally wrote for her. And I just was driving thinking like, what a gift. Like we get to like listen back to these promises and that the Lord gave us. And it's funny because My Help, it's a kind of an upbeat song, and it's like, it starts out, I'm singing like, and I'm all happy singing on the record. I'm like, oh, my soul, forget not all his benefits, how his light has shone in darker days than this. He has been faithful. And she was like, you know, she's crying because of how she feels. I'm like down because of how she feels. You know, I'm like, oh, what do I do? How do I fix this? And then in my little happy voice comes on, you know, I know where my help comes from. My help. And we just started laughing because I'm like, I don't feel that at all. And this is me reminding myself of who the Lord, you know, and so, and it did it. It changed the atmosphere of me. But yeah, it just goes back to just such a gift.
That's amazing. That's incredible, man. I have a couple just personal questions that I want to ask you. They're not personal, like about your personal life, but that I've been wondering a lot about. And one of them is about how has ChatGPT affected or changed, you know, the songwriting process? And do you feel like, and you know, we don't have to answer this question if you don't want, but is that something that you'll use as a tool, like to help? Because dude,
I won't tell anyone. I might, but I might not tell anyone.
Yeah, it's a pretty powerful tool. Like I use ChatGPT all the time. I'm like, hey, listen. Really? Oh yeah,
I've never used it. I don't even know.
I mean, I haven't used it for like songs, but gosh, dude, I use it all the time. Yeah, because I'm like, hey, can you take this paragraph or this email and make it sound more professional? And dude, in like 3 seconds. But I can't imagine that the songwriting industry, that a lot of people aren't using that.
I can't imagine. I don't think it doesn't scare me because I feel like it. To me, it seems like more of a tool to do like what you're saying.
Yeah.
To make something more professional. I don't know. And music is such a emotional thing that when no emotions are involved, I don't know how you can feel it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense, but you just, I think even for me, like just in the way I present a song, I sing, the kind of music that comes out of me, the sound just from the South, from North Carolina, that it's so part of who I am and who I've been for 44 years that I don't get super worried about a computer like doubling that, because I feel like it's such an emotional. I'm sure I have friends that have thought about that a lot. I don't.
Bro, you've got a whole bunch of friends that are using ChatGPT, no doubt about it. Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, I have so many things that I can't control that I'm just like, okay, I can't worry about that.
That's awesome.
Like they don't have my voice. It's fine. It's fine. They don't have my vibe.
Yeah.
You know.
How do you? I guess the other thing too is, like, how do you personally just stay in a great place. There's so much pressure, plus it's your job, it's your job to get up on stage now and lead worship, and just like it's my job to whatever, preach or something sometimes, but like, how do you stay in a really good place? And what is that like for you? Not that you stay in a good place. I don't know. Maybe you don't stay in a good place. Like, what's it like for you now? This is your career and showing up on stages across, the world, leading worship. How was that? What is that like for you?
I mean, I think, well, it's definitely challenging times, especially social media era, that we live in. I can always tell when I've been on it too much.
Oh,
I can just feel that.
Do you get a lot of criticism?
No. I mean, maybe the other thing. I mean, sometimes it's like if I don't get enough love from social media, I'm like, what? Does no one like me anymore? People don't like my music, that kind of thing. Or I'm comparing everything. I'm seeing all the other things, all the other people, and I should be doing this, or my song's good, or all of this, and it's just, I can feel it, and Sheila can feel it when I'm going down that road, and it's turning that off and just moving away from it. I think just going to local church, being at our church and going to church on Sundays, honestly, since we moved here, it's been almost 3 years, which is crazy. I don't even lead worship as much at my home church as I used to out at Bethel. I mean, I do sometimes here and there when they ask, but I'm not. But for the first 2 years, we just went to church and I didn't lead, and it was the first time in 20 some years that I wasn't either the worship pastor, main worship leader at my church, or one of them, and it was so good for me because I think I didn't realize how much of my identity was wrapped up in me going to church, and just like, I didn't, it honestly hurt me a little bit when I went there and I was like, how do I do this? How do I just be, somebody, sitting in near the middle back of the church there, and just be at church and not be noticed somewhere or up on the stage. It like helped it opened the door to how much of that I was like actually looking forward when I went to church, just identity and just recognition and all that. And I think since that's happened, it's like it grounded me a little bit, because I had to take a step back, but then also it lit the passion again into me for like leading. I'm like, oh, actually,
you crave it.
This is actually who it's like, I miss this, and not because I want to be up there, but like, because this is who I'm called to be. And this is how I serve in my local church too. Like, people do different things in church. And so when I started leading again at church here, it just felt like fresh again. It just renewed this, like, oh, like maybe I go back 20 years ago when I first started leading. And, but I think I mean, I think I can tell when I haven't spent time, not just spent time with the Lord, but like when I haven't spent time with my guitar and just sat here and just worshiped and played. I can tell when I haven't done that, and I can feel it more in when I'm leading worship and not as much in, like, I say performing. I don't know. I feel like a lot of what I do now is like I do more concert type things in some ways, and then I'll sneak worship in there. They won't realize we're worshiping, and it's like covert Holy Spirit kind of thing. But it's like I'm going out as like Josh Baldwin, the artist, a lot of times, and not the worship leader. And so I don't always feel like I'm able to lead worship as much as I used to.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Even though that I'm, like, you could also say, I'm leading worship still and all that, but I felt like when I got back, when I would come back out to Bethel, the few times a year that I come out and lead, I almost feel like I'm like, oh, like I'm sore, like I haven't played ball in a while, and I jump out there and I'm like, man, I'm a little sore. Like I forgot how to do this. And that's a little bit, I remember the first time I came out there this year, I called Sheila afterwards. And I was like, babe, I've got to like get in my room and get with the Lord and just worship. Like, I feel like I've been going through the motions and I didn't realize it because I've been on a tour maybe where I get like a little, I get a 20-minute slot here and just do your songs, do your songs everybody knows, boom, 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 and get off. And so you just go through the motions because you just kind of, it's the same set every night or whatever. And so I realized like, okay, I need to get back to the basics here and just me and the Lord and my guitar and just hang with him. And I have a great little space to do it in here. And it's just, so it's been, not leading has been good. And then now I'm like, okay, I'm done with that. I want to lead.
Yeah.
So
it's awesome, man. I think all of us, it's funny. Like every man wants to know the secret to never feeling insecure again. And the truth is like, it's impossible to not ever feel insecure again. Like you just have to work through it at every different stage of life that you get in. Like, I don't feel I'm not battling the same insecurity that I was battling at 24, but man, at 43, it's different. The insecurities are different, but it's the same. It is still insecurity and I have to face it head on. Otherwise it just caps your growth, right? It's like, you just stop. And it's so easy to compare yourself as well to other people and what they're doing. And like, I've noticed that a lot, just different seasons in my life where I look at other guys in men's ministry or whatever. And I'm like, am I doing that at that level? And how do I be better? And like, that's part of that's just, it's so much of human nature that we have to just like catch our ego, right? Catch your ego, put it back in check and be like, back to the basics, back to allowing Jesus to be our Father and to stay in relationship. It's hard. Like I'm in the same boat in the sense that like, I have to make an intentional effort to keep myself like really tender to God and just, and not about how I can build bigger or better or faster or so.
Oh, so I love the way you said that. Just because, and I feel like the more I am with him, the more I realize like it's not like there's something unique in me, and if I just need to be myself, and let that out, let it come out the way it comes out, let it sound the way it sounds when it's you singing it, when it's you writing it, when it's you speaking, and you can't compare. You can't. Yeah. That's so good.
That's great.
I love that.
Well, Josh, you are such a gift, man, to the body of Christ and to us. And thank you so much for, your years of faithfulness. And I just love your grassroots of coming up under Susie and Dawn. And just, it's so cool, man. And thank you for taking the time here with us today. I really appreciate you, man.
Thanks for having me. Oh, this has been a treat. It's so fun to hang and talk and share a song with you,
bro.
That only you got to hear. Only y'all get.
Come on, I love it. Well, BraveCo men, hopefully you enjoyed this week's podcast. Go out there and get after it this week. Maybe send us a recorded song if you're a songwriter. Maybe we'll throw it up on the social media or something. But guys, have an incredible week. We will see you next time. Hey, BraveCo men, hopefully you loved this week's episode. Listen, if you have not subscribed to our podcast, you are already behind. Go ahead and click right here to subscribe to our podcast. And if you have not watched last week's episode, you can click right here and watch last week's episode. And listen, if you want to upgrade your wardrobe, you can check out some of our new hats that we have in stock and all our other swag. Go to braveco.org and you can look at our store there. Have a great week. We'll see you next week.